Hi, I'm Brenda Phelps. I'm a long-term member of recovery. I began my recovery journey on May the 10th of 2018, and I've lived in Urbana, Ohio all my life. I was born August 24th of 1970, and today, after 35 years of alcohol and drug use, I am currently working in the recovery industry as a peer recovery supporter. I'm a mother, grandmother, and functioning member of society.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and talk with us today. Could you start off by sharing a bit about your childhood?
My childhood, I grew up here in Urbana. I was the child of a military man. My dad was in Air Force. When I was small, my mother was a stay-at-home mother, so I had a beaver cleaver life up until the age of 5. My parents divorced, and it was a very scandalous type of divorce, and it did cause a lot of, I believe, childhood trauma that gave me some self-esteem issues, self-worth issues. I've since forgiven my parents for anything they did, which really was just life, and that I've been able to do in recovery. So, but my mother was an alcoholic, and she did find sobriety when I was 13 years old in a 12-step program. And so when it came down to it later on in life, I knew where to go because I knew it worked.
So, as you grew up, when did you first start experimenting or using alcohol and drugs?
When I was 13.
Okay.
Almost exactly on my 13th birthday. Okay. That summer. My mom went to rehab. Mm. And I found myself fairly free. That low self-value, that self-worth that I experienced as a child kind of went away while I was using. Now, when I wasn't using, I was that shy, quiet, backward little girl again. And I did really well in school. I was a straight A student most of the time. They dropped a little bit. My grades dropped a little bit in high school, but I ended up like 23rd out of a class of 189.
Oh, yeah, pretty good stuff. So did you experience really any consequences in high school then?
I got pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah. At the age of 16, I began working, at a local fast food place, and I was partying every weekend whenever I could get out of the house, whenever I wasn't grounded from whatever. I did experience a lot of home-based consequences. I was a weekend warrior, you know what I mean? I partied all the time on the weekends. Once I got married, my husband was a musician, and he did a lot of drugs. At the time I married him, he did not do a lot of drugs, but it evolved. And when we first were married, our first baby together, Jacob, was born in December 1993, and he died of SIDS.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, he died of SIDS in March of 1994. I think that's probably when my usage and my drug and alcohol career took off. We tried really hard to stay together. We loved each other very much, but in the end, alcohol and drugs kind of took over. We had another child. So when I was married, he had a son, I had a son, and we had two. Jacob died, and Jesse's, he'll be 27 this month. So we had a good family. We bought a house. We had our own business. And then the drugs and alcohol it got bad. It got bad. My kids, they were good kids. And I felt like I was a good mother. They never needed anything they didn't need, they always had everything they needed. I could have done better. Could have done a lot better. My oldest son, that was born when I was 16, he developed a drug problem too. So, and so did my stepson. It just seemed to keep going. And but during the highlight of my drinking, it was every day. It wasn't fun anymore. In my 40s is when it got really bad. When my son, Nick, went to prison on drug-related charges, and had two little girls, my two granddaughters that I just completely adore. And I grieved. I mean, I just was in a state of grief for 2 years while he was gone. And then he came back and he started using again. And ultimately, my oldest son, the person that kept me going all those years and struggling, was found dead on the railroad tracks over by Springfield.
Oh my goodness.
Route 4 and Old Mill Road, a quarter mile down the tracks. They found his body.
I'm so sorry. That's tragic.
Before he died, he was in jail, and he had a short period of time where he was clean because he was an IV user. Heroin and crack cocaine were his drugs of choice, fentanyl. And he went to jail for like 30 or 40 days or something, and I wrote him a letter telling him I needed to make my amends with him because I was in recovery about 2 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to make my amends with him after he got out of jail about 3 weeks before his death. So we talked and we cried and we hugged, and I miss him so much. He was just such a good kid, good man, good father. He loved his children. He did not understand he couldn't raise them in the condition he was in. Their mother wouldn't let him around them, and he was so angry and lost. And she had every right to do that. He was dangerous to himself, to everybody else. And I was in recovery and trying to talk him into recovery. I knew it wouldn't work unless he wanted it. And I told him, I could get him in somewhere. I knew people that would help me. And he said, "Mom, you're a bigger man than I am. I can't do it. I don't want to do it."
How did you then work through that very tragic loss of your oldest?
The pandemic had just started. His death was April the 21st of 2020.
Okay.
We had just been locked down. And so Mom called me and said she hadn't seen him. He lived with my mom, and she hadn't seen him for 3 or 4 days. And she thought there was a thing on the news about a body being found, and she thought it might be him. I thought, no. And it wasn't an hour later they called, and it was him. She knew. It was like she knew. How did I work through it? The people in my 12-step program and my family, they prayed and prayed, and they loved me, and the best people ever. If you're in a recovery program of any sort, whether it's faith-based or 12-step or whatever kind of recovery program you're in, the people that are in it with you they know where you're at. They know what they know. I mean, it's like they know how you feel and think, and they can help you. The recovery community is a beautiful community.
Yeah.
Those broken people, us broken people, that have had to survive and do whatever we had to do to get by to the next day, to pay the next bill, to just to exist sometimes. Those people, the people in these programs, they love you. No matter what. No matter what. They don't hold things against you and judge you. And there's always gossip, whatever, in every group of people,
Right.
but for the most part, it's love. It's love.
Well, I do think that it's really important to note, though, that there must have been some action that you took, of talking to people, of showing up, of allowing people to be able to love you and care about you.
We work the steps. We work the steps. And, I'm actively working my program every day. I get up and I pray and I meditate every morning, and I go to bed and I pray and I meditate every night. I read something from the Bible every night. I read some kind of meditation or devotion every morning, and I have a routine. I know if I quit doing that, the bad stuff will start coming back in. And even through the death of my son and the death of my sister last year, 2 years, it's been so hard. Um, I know it's okay. I know that what happens sometimes has to happen. My son was in a tremendous amount of pain. He couldn't be with his children. He loved them with his whole heart. My sister had fought this cancer for 5 years. She didn't want to fight anymore. She was so tired. She fought hard. She was my hero. She fought harder than anybody I've ever seen. But I'm able to accept that they're gone because that's what was supposed to happen. And accepting that and learning that acceptance through these programs and through my recovery journey has saved me and has made me a better person. I love me today. I love me today. I didn't used to like me at all. And I can look in the mirror and say, hey, I love you. And I see my granddaughters and my son's little girls, and, well, they're not so little anymore, but I see him through them. His kindness and his good qualities are still here. They're still here, and they're right in front of me. And you know, my sister, she fought so hard, and she was in so much pain. It just, life ends. There's not a single person on this earth that isn't going to have an ending.
Right.
We have a beginning and an ending.
Absolutely. Could you describe a certain feeling that you have received through sobriety that was not there in addiction?
Serenity. Serenity. My head used to spin like, you know, a hamster on a wheel. My thoughts would just go and go and go, and I'd lay awake at night and I couldn't sleep, and I would dwell on my problems, my finances, my everything, every little thing. And when I got clean and sober and learned this, you know, I've known the Serenity Prayer my whole life, because when my mom was in the rooms too. But the Serenity Prayer, I say it in my head over and over and over. When those thoughts are spinning, that's what I started doing. Instead of letting those thoughts spin, I would stop them and I would repeat the Serenity Prayer in my head until they stopped. And I would go to sleep. You know, like counting sheep. And then I would think about the meaning of it. What can I change? You know, what can I accept? What do I really need to be thinking about here to correct the problem? And the Serenity Prayer is my #1 spiritual tool. And most people already know that about me. But anybody that knows me knows.
Yep.
The Serenity Prayer, just repeat it thousands of times a day. You can't wear it out.
Absolutely.
But yeah, serenity, peace, peace of mind, serenity.
What words of hope could you share with someone who is trying to get sober?
Oh, the help is there. We want to help everyone. We want to help you. I see people come in off the streets at work, and they just so angry because they can't get help, and they can't get. It's there. It is there. Places like Recovery Zone, detox centers, and things like that. I don't know how. It's not easy to get into the system, but once you find the people that are willing to help you, they will help you. They will get you through it. They will do whatever they need to do if you take the action and you listen. Sometimes the biggest problem is that the person themselves not wanting to do the action.
Yep. So getting in their own way sometimes, absolutely.
Recovery is a gift, but it's not just completely given to you.
Right.
You have to work for it.
Well said. Is there anything that we missed that you would like to share?
I don't think so. Just that, you know, I truly believe that drugs and alcohol will lead to jails, institutions, and death. If you're an addict or an alcoholic, because not everyone is, and you can't get away from it, you are going to face that choice. Jails, institutions, or death.
Yes, that is for sure. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and your really full life to be able to share your experience. You are a true example of the freedom that you can find in recovery, and really that the ability to deal with life on life's terms. That you're just a walking example of how that really works when you put in the action and you do what is necessary. You know, you can have that beautiful relationship with your granddaughters and be at peace with tragic losses and be okay. So, thank you so much.
You're welcome.